Good morning, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know. And I want to describe the recent trend that I've seen emerging and growing of women shaving their heads, some women. Maybe you've seen this, maybe you haven't, but I have definitely seen a pattern, and it has enough cohesion and meaning. I think I understand some of the impulse behind it, and I want to describe it in this video. And while it's not my business what people do to themselves, aesthetically, with their hairstyles, with their clothing, it's really not my business. There's a political movement underway, and that may actually be my business indirectly, because I believe it affects society as a whole, and it's aimed at males. And if you'll hear me out, so I think that a lot of the time, and obviously not every time, because some people have shaved heads for other reasons, of course, women, if they're undergoing chemotherapy, or, in the past, Sinead O'Connor was a famous celebrity who shaved her head and started a trend. That was many decades ago, and this is a whole different thing. So I'm talking specifically about the soldiers that you see in the trans community. And I describe them as soldiers because that's part of what I'm talking about here. With the shaved head, they are very much enlisted, they are motivated in a unified goal to solve a problem. And I'm going to be diplomatic about this, as diplomatic and fair as I know how to be. So the problem that I'm describing, that I think that they're recognizing and addressing, is one of discrimination, one of abuse, unfair treatment of people in general. And it's been going on for a long, long time. And there have been enough victims that some very clever people have gotten involved and have analyzed the problem and the chain of events that leads up to it, looking for presumably a solution and protection for the victims. I believe that that's an admirable cause. I'm going to be diplomatic, like I said. So if you look at this line, this chain of events, the predictable chain of events that precipitates abuse of a transgender person, or anybody really, it eventually arrives at the leadership of whoever is involved, the policymakers, the people who are in charge. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, which might be beyond the scope of this video, they tend to be white men in this part of the world anyway. There are a lot of white patriarchal men still running things, and some of them are decent people. Some of them are a little bit not so decent sometimes. They behave badly. They are prejudiced. They are subject to all the human flaws that many of us are subject to, and they have few people to answer to being leaders themselves, and they abuse their power at the top. So my understanding, my impression of these shaved heads on women that are emerging is that there's kind of two messages. There's two main impulses driving this behavior, and that is, first of all, we're not going to give you the benefit of looking at us. It has become understood that women are beautiful, categorically, on average, way more aesthetically beautiful than the average man. If we're being honest, and it doesn't need to be debated. I think that it's just clear. It's one of those self-evident truths. So it's a denial of service, first of all. It's a denial of service, saying you get nothing from us. We're going to start by saying, before we even reach some kind of negotiation, you get zero from us, including any kind of aesthetic benefits whatsoever. So that's, I think, part of the motivation. One part. The other part, I believe, is a badge of solidarity. It's an easy modification in the vein of self-mutilation. And it is self-mutilation when a woman cuts off her hair, because she is culturally bound to a certain ideal historically. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not saying that she should or shouldn't. Again, I'm just saying that there is a reality. There is a cultural reality. And to cut off a woman's hair is to degrade her appearance. Now, when she does it to herself, that's powerful. It is. It is a seat of power, just in the same way that the monks used to immolate in protest. Maybe you've read about this or heard about it, seen it in movies. the final form of protest is self-sacrifice, and I believe that that is another motivation for this trend. I believe that it's a very well thought out self-sacrificing, not too permanently damaging self-modification that also represents solidarity with a group, a singular cause, and a denial of service to the people that they perceive are precipitating the problems to begin with. So it's kind of just a single stone that kills many birds, if you will. That's my take. I could be wrong. I admit I could be wrong, and this is just an impression. I will say that it saddens me. Okay, my final point here is that it makes me very sad that any woman would be driven to such an extreme to disfigure herself in any possible way. That men and women can't get along, that trans and hetero people can't get along, uh, so that they don't have to do these crazy things to themselves. And it is a little bit crazy. I want to believe that even these women who I'm referring to with their shaved heads would be happier with hair. They'll deny it. Okay, they're allowed to deny it, but if we're being honest, I don't believe that they feel more beautiful with shaved heads, and that's why I'm concerned. That's really honestly my only reason. I see people being unhappy and self-disfiguring, so I'm getting involved with a video. That's all I have to say about it. If you feel any way in particular, I'd love to hear about it. In fairness, reach out with questions or comments to whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.